And here we go. We have liftoff. Propulsion continues to be normal.
RCPA chamber pressure looks good.
Doubling up. Roger and roll, planet.
Water towers fly! Yes!
Down phenomenal.
Flight downside SPD off. Bring in SPD off. Off. It's orange!
Orange 25! Oh my god! Oh my god!
Décollage.
Look at this!
Put that in the big bag,
343 unfolds to go.
Indeed.
We rise together, back to the moon and beyond.
If there's methane, it'd be igniting in the flare, correct?
Yikes. You good? We don't need any more of these.
All right, folks, is that little bar bumping the way it should? It looks like it. Can y'all hear me? It's been a little bit of time since we've done one of these. Let me know in chat. John Galloway with NSF here. I see 5x5s. That seems good. Let's see if y'all can hear the other folks with me here as well. We're doing an NSF Live. We haven't done one of these proper in quite some time, so sort of getting the band back together today. Brought some old friends who I've been streaming with since 2015. Can we say 2014, 2015?
Yeah, that sounds right, man.
Oh, yeah. A good while. Please welcome to the show. We've got Sawyer Rosenstein over here. Sawyer, how you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. First off, I know it's been a while since I've been on any of these streams, so I want to say thank you to everyone that has sent all the kind messages and DMs on Twitter while I dealt with some medical stuff, and the amazing NSF team and the love you guys have shared. So I am rip-roaring and ready to talk about rockets.
Oh, shucks, don't make us start with like blushing and stuff, man. Seriously. Also joining us today, is this the first NSF Live you've been on, EJ?
Yep, this is the first one, man.
Yeah. Please welcome my buddy, longtime buddy from Twitch, Mr. EJ. Who in chat already knows EJ over here? I put EJ from Twitch is your name. I guess that's cool, right?
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay. Good deal. EJ's a longtime Kerbal streamer friend that I originally met way over on Twitch like many, many years ago. But we've done all sorts of stuff together, and I sort of tricked him into joining a Zoom call here today so that I could pipe his output all over the internet. So, EJ.
Wait, we're live right now?
No, wait. Now? Then?
Wait, whoa.
When are we live?
Wait,
I gotta go.
No, but we are today going to be talking about all sorts of different space news things. As we do, we have the whole list of things that have happened in the past week plus, and we are going to be offering up what we think about the news. I mean, y'all watch for some reason. I'm not sure what it is, but sometimes I think it may be because you just want to see how wrong we are about everything, and then tell us how wrong we are. So you'll feel right at home, EJ.
All right. Excellent. Great.
With live chat over here. Also, if you got questions for us, tag us in whatever respective chat you want to tag us in. If you tag us in the YouTube chat, it's going to come up on our little software over here. EJ, you could take questions from your Twitch too, right?
Yeah, oh yeah, I can see both chats. Yep.
Tell them that they can ask questions over there too, and just grab questions from wherever. It won't be in our software here, so I won't be able to show the Twitch questions down on the ticker, but we can still talk about whatever questions there are. If you got one, just like hop in and be like, hey, here's a good one, right?
Sweet, sounds good.
Yeah, if you get a good one, EJ, speak up.
There
And
you go.
also, please speak up
Oh,
for the back channel.
Oh, okay.
Per the back channel. Do we need to turn EJ up a little bit?
A little bit.
Let's see here.
Yeah, the mic doesn't always pick up. I'm going to try to move it as close as I can. So
That's all good.
sorry for the audio feedback if it happens.
Just be enthusiastic.
All right.
Yeah.
Sounds good, man.
Excited about space news.
I know, so hard to get you, excited about this stuff, right?
Oh, yeah, no, I'm just a stick in the mud.
There, I cranked it up a little bit. Sawyer may be a little hot now, and EJ may be a little cool, but let's see. Y'all let me know in chat. I'll read in chat over there.
No, I got 73 Fahrenheit in my house right now, thanks.
Seriously? Anyways, the space news. That's
Okay.
one. Somebody keep track of how many puns there are today. That's the first one. So what are we supposed to talk about today? I thought I clicked on a link that had the whole list of stuff we're supposed to discuss, but now I'm not finding it anywhere. Quick, Sawyer, what's the topic we're supposed to talk about?
Well, we've got a bunch of topics, and the first and probably biggest one on the list right now involves Boeing's Starliner capsule.
Oh, yeah.
The update that we just received that Starliner is facing another delay and will not launch in July. And that's a result of a few issues that have been discovered.
Yeah.
The first one being to do with the lanyards used for the parachute system. They said during the testing that it lowered the safety margins, so it's not totally dangerous, but obviously you want the highest safety margin possible because, people are on board. And then there was also other concerns about certain flammable material and wiring, which I'll leave it vague because I know that's going to be an interesting discussion.
It's going to be a whole bit of discussion. I feel like we should hold this discussion till the end of the show to make people stick around. Real quick, I'm not going to do that. The other stuff we have to talk about, if you're interested in other topics, talking about Vulcan flight readiness coming up as well. We're going to discuss what happened with the Vulcan static fire that did not, become fiery. We're going to talk about Virgin returning to flight. Virgin Galactic there with the footage that Jack got out there in the desert at Spaceport. Axiom came back home. We've got some Starliner stuff happening from Vandenberg. Of course, today's launches, we had one launch go this morning and one launch not go this morning. Wonder if there's tape on board the Dragon, maybe.
I think you meant Starlink.
Starlink, thank you. Did I say Starliner?
Yeah. In the show, we have Starliner, Starlink,
That's
and
different.
Starship.
Thanks.
Starbase.
We've got some Starship news as well. It's an engagement trick, so everybody jumps in to correct me. Not really, I just said it wrong. Starship news stuff happening out there as well with Starship, and we're going to be talking about all those topics here in no specific order. So we'll go all the way back, and let's talk about Starliner. EJ, doomed? Not doomed?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get grilled on the internet for this, but I honestly think that these problems being found now is a good thing. That's a good thing that you're finding these problems now, and I think that the spacecraft seemingly having all these problems is not really a reflection of the program, but just a reflection of engineering spacecraft and the relative inexperience that Boeing has with it. I mean, if we sit back and we kind of look at the whole scope of Boeing as with their involvement in space, they've mostly made stages, right?
Yeah, like rocket parts, not capsules, not spacecraft.
Exactly.
They make stages.
They make the S1. They made the S1C for the Saturn V. They made the external tanks for the space shuttle, and obviously the SLS core. Nowadays, they have merged and acquired companies that have developed spacecraft, but they've never developed one under their roof. They've never made one by themselves.
Yeah.
I think that's an important thing to understand, and
Training
it's important.
wheels off.
Bingo.
Mm-hmm.
It's important. It's important to understand that, and I think that, passing the buck on them right now is not the right thing to do because it takes time to build a spacecraft, especially one that's human rated, and especially one that's human rated to NASA standards. That's not an easy thing to do, and I don't think commercial crew can afford any problems in flight. Problems during testing is where you want to find these problems, and that's the right spot to catch them.
Yeah.
Right. It's not like SLS, which was delayed a bit, but they were using a lot of legacy hardware, just using the same RS-25 engines, just adding another segment to the solids. Whereas this, they don't have anything that they can, strip from another part or learn from the past. It's, like you mentioned, kind of starting completely fresh. So it's not unsurprising that is continuing to delay potentially longer right now than SLS.
Yeah. There's a bit of, incomplete information. Like, this announcement comes out at first, and it's, oh my gosh, the parachutes are going to fail and the entire, wiring harness is flammable or something like that, right? Like, this is crazy. How could you ever get to that point developing a spacecraft? And then more information comes out and, like, the fog of development clears a little bit. And it's not that the parachutes are, oh gosh, they're going to fail no matter what. It's that they found this weakness that if this other thing happened, then it would end up on this other system, and it wasn't even that it was going to fail, it was that the margins for safety were a little bit lower than they wanted. So it's not like, oh, they forgot to hook up the chutes or something, right? It was this overabundance of caution, I guess, and the slimmer margins than they wanted. And with the tape thing, I mean, it was like, oh, how would you ever put flammable tape in a spacecraft? You're idiotic, whatever. And then you get more information about it, and you're like, well, okay, it's actually in some specific circumstances. It's not that the tape is just going to bust into flames at any time. It's if this happens, then we don't even actually, I think, know what the specific situation is yet. Correct me if that's come in. But it's this one specific situation where this one thing happens that we've now identified, that this tape that, by the way, is used widely, like industry standard sort of usage in spaceflight. Now, did they use it too much, or did they use it in ways that weren't standard? I don't even know that we know the answer yet. But it's not that they made it out of, firecracker tape or something like that, right?
No.
So.
No. I mean, P213 is an industry standard, if I'm understanding that correctly.
Yeah.
And I think an important thing to understand is that they just figured this out. They talked about it in the Steve Stitch, I believe, and I think it's Sawyer. Correct me if I'm wrong. Mark Krasich, I think, is the guy's name. They talked about that they just found this test. They just found this potential failure mode like a week ago.
Yeah.
So that full fault tree has not been figured out yet. They think it's the adhesive on the tape, but it's important to trace the fault tree and figure out why this happened. Because it might, if it's the tape, then, a lot of spacecrafts use that tape.
Yeah.
A lot of spacecrafts use that tape. But if it's isolated to Starliner, then it might not be the tape. It could be something else.
Something else, yeah.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And we were even talking, like, is it a situation where the oxygen concentration gets above a certain thing? Because remember when SLS was launching and there was a hydrogen leak? And, okay, sometimes a little bit of hydrogen's gonna leak, but as long as it doesn't go above this threshold, I'm not going to say everything's cool, but it's within limits, right? And then it becomes this environment, if it goes above this threshold where we're more concerned about it, and you're still this far away from it being a real danger, but just the limits that they put in place. So when the tape exactly becomes more flammable, I guess, like you can make almost anything flammable if you put it in the right environment. So
That's right.
Yep. My understanding from the back channel is that it's around 23% oxygen or higher. And keeping in mind that any vehicle now that has crew is typically nitrox, which is nitrogen and oxygen, a lot closer to the percentages that we have here on Earth.
Interesting. I'm still sort of waiting for the official, like, full information. Like, here's exactly the situation where it could become a thing. And there's wiring harness in this one thing, and that's where this one vent comes out or something. So the concentration in that environment is a little bit higher than this. And because of the wiring harness, like, whatever it is, I'm still waiting to see what the details are. So I know that I'm actually, when I look this way, I'm reading chat. That's what I'm doing. I know that a ton of people are like, oh my gosh, pull the plug, et cetera, et cetera. I still want options. I don't want all of our eggs to be in one basket. I don't want to be apologetic. Like, it should be accomplished in some sort of real time frame and not for infinite money. Like, you got to have limits, and sometimes things really push those limits. Jeez. But I want 4 spacecraft that can go to space and carry humans up and down. I don't just want one because there's one really successful company. Oh, we'll never need another one. No one else will ever get funding for this or whatever. So I know how much funding, what's the time frame, all that sort of stuff is a bone of contention. Let me see if
we are talking just really quick about money, Boeing has said that they will pay for the fixes on this one.
Yep.
Is that's like under, like, they're not saying, oh, it's going to cost another $1 billion to rewire the spacecraft. Like, they've got to eat it, I guess, right?
Correct. Yeah, as part of their fixed price contract. Basically, that means any mess ups at this point onward is on them. So it's not like it's your tax dollars having to pay for the fixes.
All right. Let me see. I'm going to get logged in because I actually didn't bring up the question queue and stuff yet. Should have done that.
We already have some in there.
Do you have some?
I believe, yeah.
Get it if you got some. Oh, wow. Yeah, there's a lot.
Yeah.
All right. Let's go.
Here, let me see. I'm just reading through them really quick.
Well, I can grab one real quick.
Yeah, go for it.
Grab a couple. Just right at the top of the list, what causes the scrub? This is, I don't know that it's related, but what caused the scrub for the Crew Dragon resupply mission to the ISS today? That was earlier today. Kind of about capsules, right? But there we're talking about booster recovery weather for that one, right?
The windage.
Yeah.
I think it was too windy and around the drone ship.
And that wasn't even, that's something that I've talked about in the past where it's awesome. We have reusable boosters, right? We've had that in sort of light manners, not to the scale that SpaceX can do it, right? You can't argue that the SpaceX or the space shuttle boosters splashing down in the water and getting towed back is anything like what SpaceX does. So for all the space shuttle booster fans out there, it's not the same. But the level that SpaceX does this recovery has created more limitations on the launch window, right? So they're launching a mission, CRS resupply to the International Space Station, no crew on board, even though it's a Dragon capsule, it's a cargo Dragon, right?
Mhm.
But even though there were no crew on board, they still scrubbed the mission. If the recovery winds were correct, they scrubbed it because of the landing weather for the booster. You would never have had that issue for an uncrewed craft before if you were just throwing it into the ocean. Who cares if it goes through a lightning storm?
Yeah.
Right?
Mhm.
Is that fair to say, or is that like too much over the edge?
I mean, delaying a mission by a day is not going to screw up the ISS logistics, from what I understand. They have like leeway and margins built into the resupply. We saw that. I mean, this is going back a little ways at this point, but we saw that when in 2014,
Yep.
when Antares had an anomaly, when Progress M21 had an anomaly, and SpaceX had that CRS-7 anomaly a little bit later. There's built-in leeways into the supply chains to the ISS on purpose. So delaying a day is not that big of a deal.
Yeah. So it's not like the end of the ISS or anything like that, but I find it interesting, like, great, it's a reusable rocket, we get to reuse it, and now we can't launch today because the weather downrange. But hey, wait a day, wait 2 days.
What I find most interesting is how things have switched now. Because early on, the first variants of the Dragon, the crew would launch, and then those would land on a boost or on a barge, and the cargo missions would have the booster land back on land. Now, all future crew missions will land back on land, and the cargo ones will land on the barge. So it gets rid of one weather criterion for the crew mission, but adds this one back now for cargo.
Yeah. There was a very brief instant, very much not news reporting here, but there was a brief instant where I was like, does SpaceX have to go through and see if they use that tape on their capsule? Is there any environment that exists on that capsule? Like, because there was the unexplained delay at first. But getting into this morning where they actually pushed it back, it was downrange weather. The booster landing, normally you just throw it in the water, don't care about the weather down there. But because they're trying to recover the booster and get it back so that they can ship something else with it in the future, they scrubbed that this morning for that purpose, right? And if it was an emergency, right? So I'm not aware of any situation where this has ever been the case. But if they had to ship something to the ISS right now, they could have probably launched it, as long as the recovery weather was the only thing, lost the booster, but, send up those plucky drillers or whoever they need to send into space to stop the asteroid. Like, they could have still sent the Dragon, or they could have still sent the cargo capsule up and just not worried about the booster weather. Always a possibility. Anyways, let me grab a couple questions or a couple of super chats and stuff real quick. A lot came through. Carol Lazenby, thanks for becoming a Pad Rat member. We got Chris W., who is gifting some memberships here, 5 memberships when we started the show. And then Jim gifted some memberships. And then John gifted 5 Red Team memberships. And then Jack gifted 5 Red Team memberships. And then Chris W. gifted a Red Team membership. And then Moldy Space Industries gifted a Red Team membership. And we're going to have to put like a gifted membership counter or something on the top of the top of the thing here. But thank y'all for all the gifted memberships. It's a huge part of keeping us going, especially with the YouTube algorithm these ways. Good grief, YouTube. Seriously? Suddenly you think nobody loves space and you're not going to show them space-related videos? Let's see. Let's talk about this, since this is relevant to what we're talking about. Musical Wolves, actually, asked, why was the flammable tape just now mentioned? Does anybody know any more than that? Like, why did it just come up in the press conference? It's not like it was the day of launch or anything, but...
I think that goes back to them just figuring out that this happened. They said that this failure mode was caught a week ago, right before Memorial Day weekend, in the press conference. So I'm pretty sure they just figured this out. And, guys, I don't think that this tape that they're using, even if it is an industry-wide thing, I don't think that it catches on fire all the time. It's not like what you were saying. It's not completely like, oh, we can just take this outside and light it on fire, right?
Yeah.
No, it seems like it's isolated to high voltage areas with Starliner. At least that's what was said in the press conference. It's isolated to high voltage areas, and there are certain high voltage areas in the wiring harness for Starliner that are inside and outside of the pressure vessel. Now, they didn't go into much more detail than that.
Yeah.
But it seems like it's isolated to a certain like case specific areas around the capsule.
Yeah.
So if that is the case and it's isolated to certain areas, this seems like it doesn't seem like it would be an industry wide thing. Might be something just with how Starliner is engineered.
Yeah, the one
That's
little
just a guess,
compartment where the concentrations go too high or whatever. I mean, again,
Mhm.
it's not like they used potassium-based tape with a lithium binder that anytime it's exposed to atmospheric humidity, it bursts into flames energetic. Like, that's not the situation.
Yeah.
And a lot of people sort of seem like they want to push it that way. Like, oh, who would ever use flammable tape in a spacecraft, right? Anything is flammable in the right environment. What the exact details are, I'm going to be very interested. And I'll be a lot more harsh, be a lot harder on them if it's like, oh yeah, if an astronaut were to breathe on it, it would become a problem. Like, seriously?
Yeah.
But if there's this one enclosed space, anyways, we can talk about this for 22 minutes, right?
To
Yeah,
finish
we
answering that
could.
question, I'll just wrap it up with something Alex mentioned in the back channel,
Yeah.
which is that they basically were in the process of certifying Starliners. They were going through all the final paperwork, and as they're going through the paperwork, they went, oops.
Whoops.
We gotta fix this.
By the way, yeah. Anyways, John, I see your super chat as well. Like I get it, but it's not that the tape is just going to burst into flames, right? You have to have adhesive. Maybe they use too much of it. Like I'm going to be a lot harder on them if we find out you used 10 times the tape necessary, or you tried to make the capsule airtight by using tape that you weren't supposed to use, or whatever. Like, certainly they could have really messed up, but I want more information first.
I don't know if this analogy makes sense, but you know how if you put two pieces of like electrical tape together and pull them apart in the dark, they'll spark a little bit?
Really?
Yeah, there's certain pieces of tape. You put two of them together and rip them apart in the dark, you'll see a very quick little spark.
Huh.
But that doesn't mean that using electrical tape on your house is a problem. You use it all the time on wiring, and you don't have to touch it and then randomly get shocked.
Yeah. Huh.
I mean, in what scenario with the wiring in your house are you pulling electrical tape apart when there's wires alive, right? Like, that's that it seems to be an isolated thing with just how Starliner is like when they were going through the checks. And once again, I can't reiterate this enough. It's probably better you found this now.
Yeah.
You know, than later.
Yeah.
Yeah.
EJ, you said earlier, like, oh, this is so incompetent, they're so terrible, and it's like, nah, if they were really incompetent, they wouldn't have found this.
Bingo.
They wouldn't have admitted this, and then we would have crew flying on a capsule that wasn't safe. Even identifying it, and imagine the person who had to like own up to that and say, by the way, we have to talk, right?
Yep.
Like, thank goodness somebody actually brought that up and discovered that issue, if it even comes out to ever be an issue, right? We should move right along, I think. Here.
Okay, sure. Yeah, absolutely.
We could talk about this forever, but
yeah, we could.
Hey, real quick, Stefan Baptiste with some euros asking if the Starship plushie is still on track for mid-June. It is. We have not gotten any information that that's going to be delayed. We expect it to come in. Again, we did sort of a pre-sale for it to see how many we need to order because it's a really custom product, and we are still on track. The last I heard from Adrian, all of a sudden my phone's going to go off, and Adrian's going to be like, oh, it does. No, not really. Last I checked in, we should be good to go with that. So thank you for asking. I didn't even show any assets on that because what do you want? You want me to show like the official Boeing statement? How exciting. Let's just leave our own faces on the screen here for now. What's next?
Vulcan is what we have next. The Vulcan flight readiness firing was
while we're
very
sticking
recent.
at Pad 41, yeah.
Yep.
Let's see what we got there real quick. Tori.
Yep.
Oh, wow.
He said that they stopped doing the flight readiness firing because they were checking. I mean, I don't think I'm smart enough to say a better way to do it. They were checking the ignition timing on the igniters, and the ignition timing was off, and they were just like, nope, shut it down.
They have like a timing light in there where they're like,
yeah, put a timing light on it, just the points. Let's go.
Just the points on the timing light. Oh, what was the deal with that? Like, more specifically, I mean, Vulcan. All ULA's hype, I guess, these days. They roll it out. They did a good job on their social media of showing the time lapse and this going out. And then when they did the tanking and stuff, the frost, like, they've done a good job of at least releasing that information, right? But what, like, more specifically, the igniters were ready to go. They didn't actually get to the firing.
I believe it was that one of them didn't ignite or was not bringing the engine back to full power, was my understanding of it.
Yeah, like
They observed a delayed response, is the official word,
Yeah.
from the engine ignition system. And keeping in mind that this is the second time that they have actually had to check the engine ignition system, first during the wet dress rehearsal and now doing the this firing attempt.
yeah.
Yeah, they
Huh.
didn't end up lighting any of the engines. So
Hmm.
I think I've got this one here. Let me see here.
Yep.
What did ULA say about it? ULA is standing down from the engine flight readiness testing. During the countdown, the T, like you said, observed a delayed response from the booster engine ignition. And it doesn't seem like sometimes you get it where there are three sensors and two of them agree and one of them is out of family or whatever.
Hmm.
But normally, like I've seen even ULA do this before with latches, right? Are those latches free or not? Okay, no, it's just one sensor we don't think is right. We're sure the latches are good to go. We're going to accept that risk and move forward. And I've seen that happen with Delta. But this, they rolled it all the way back. It doesn't seem like that was the case, like just a sensor that disagreed, right?
No, I mean they wouldn't roll it back. I don't know what their margins are. That's first and foremost,
Yeah.
we're kind of shooting from the hip here, but if it was look, they wouldn't roll it back if it was something that they could fix right on 41. They would roll back to the VIF if it was something that they had to be absolutely sure. And I think it's probably a good idea to do that now and figure that out now rather than have a second stage and a payload on top, right? And oh, this is the first launch of Vulcan. Oh, nope, never mind. The ignition
Whoops.
timing's off.
Yeah,
Oops.
yeah.
Like you
yeah.
don't you don't want oops. That's no oops.
You'd give them even more grief, right?
Yep. Yep.
If they were in the count and they said they're ready to go or they're going to do, whatever the whole thing. They didn't even start their live stream. They weren't even putting propellants in the vehicle, right?
No.
And if they had gotten all that and all this hype and stuff, I mean, they said something as soon as they were sure that they weren't going to go for it. They rolled it all the way back to work on it. It'll be interesting to see. They haven't released a new timeline or anything, I don't think, right?
No, they're
Nope.
probably figuring out why this happened. Doing a fault tree analysis, trying to isolate issues, basically troubleshooting. Doing IT work for rockets that
Yeah.
takes time because it's not just shut it off and turn it back on. Oh, it works now. That's not how this works. That's not
Yeah.
how that works at all. You have to figure out why. And if there's any IT guys out there or girls out there, you know exactly what I'm talking about. If it's usually, oh, just flip it off, flip it back on, or oh, have you checked this setting, right? Now you have to go. This would be like going into the code and figuring out why that happened.
Right.
That's that's something that takes time. It's something that's hard to do.
Yeah.
And Ari, the timing, you don't want to ignite the engines at the wrong time. If you ignite them when they're not basically when a BE4 or any rocket engine fires up, you're going to spin the turbo pumps. You're going to spool the pumps. I mean, some rockets have pre-burners, other ones have pumps, other ones are open cycle.
Yeah.
You want to spin those things and spool them up and basically flood the engine and then ignite it. You don't want to start putting propellant in there and then light it. The ignition timing is so important to be at it has to be perfect because if it's not perfect, you could create a hard start condition and
Yeah.
this kills the rocket motor.
Gotcha. Like,
Doesn't
again,
like that.
for the first launch too, right? Like the first launch of the thing,
Yep.
not the death knell of the Vulcan or anything like that, right?
No.
I would think it'd feel really silly if if I turned out to be wrong with that. But it's part of launching a new vehicle. It's part of working on things. I wonder,
Yep.
are we making like not any friends today? Because it's like, okay, they're apologizing for Boeing and now ULA. Like, come on, we'll get to SpaceX and tell you how wonderful SpaceX is in just a minute.
By the way, I do like that the van out there is trying to teach the BE4s and Vulcan of what to do.
Do you think
Nope.
it's like
The
did
three,
the other
two,
side have
one.
that on it? Maybe they need to turn the van around so the rocket can see it.
It may be double-sided. I think I've seen that vehicle out and about before. I believe it's double-sided.
Yeah. That's why I zoomed in. I was like, does that say 321 on it? But yeah, it's got a Delta Heavy on there and the whole thing. It's a cool looking rocket. I appreciate a rocket that's allowed a paint job. I'm sorry.
Kind of with you
Yes.
on that one.
I'm not
And a
sorry.
reminder, this is going to be added to the Methalox family too.
Yeah.
or
Oh, yeah.
LNG,
Mhm.
depending on how you want to call it. But yeah.
I want to see it go. I like rockets. Like I know that they'll get to it to where they'll in their best interest, they need to fly Vulcan. They're not flying Atlas
Mhm.
forever, right? I want to see
Yep.
Vulcan fly. I know people love to bag on the engines and bag on this, that, and the other. Oh, they haven't even launched yet this year. Well, yeah, they're doing a brand new rocket for the first time on the same single pad that they have, right?
I
So,
mean,
anyways,
Tori Bruno always says it's okay to love more than one rocket.
I like it.
I mean, I'd like to think that we're greedy. I like all of them.
I
I want
like
more
all the
rockets, not
rockets,
less.
right? Real
More
quick,
is
y'all.
good.
We will. I'm going to do this real quick. If you want to learn more, we need somebody in like the outfit with the want to know more sort of thing. I guess everybody gets to see what I shop for at B&H, but whatever. We do have an article about the what the launch day dress rehearsal that they had. This is actually back from May 12th. If you want to read more about it, we have all the different sorts of articles over on nasaspaceflight.com. We sit here and we'll talk to you, but we never communicate the same like depth of information that you can find in the articles, right? So if you want to read more, you go here, and then there's like more forum threads on it, and then there's just like a rabbit hole of information if you really want to find out more than we would just discuss on the live stream here. So let's put that article link over in chat. And that's actually almost a month old at this point, but it leads you down the whole rabbit hole. I like cameras, apparently. This looks like a radio system for team communications I've been looking at. Gonna need a couple super chats for that. But anyways, maybe I should like minimize the ad or something before I bring it up. Okay, moving right along. What's our next topic here? Virgin Galactic.
Yeah, from things that haven't flown yet to things that are finally flying again.
Exactly. Was it almost like 2 years?
Yeah, it was 2021 was the last time that VSS Unity went to space.
Yeah. Let's see here. I got some of the footage here, I think. I do have some of the footage.
Which I do want to point out that while we have the official footage that was recorded later, the live footage was only captured by NASA Spaceflight and Jack Beyer out there in the field.
Shout out to Jack.
It's true. There's the liftoff. We were looking at the end of the runway, and it took off further back the insanely long runway at Spaceport America than we thought. Pardon the double lower thirds down there, but whatever. But that's the takeoff. And look, you can actually scroll through the video and find where the drop was. It's got the little YouTube graph thing. But Jack, we didn't even decide that we were going to try to stream this until less than 24 hours before it took off. Jack lives in California. It's like a 12-hour, 13-hour drive, but you got to rest and use the bathroom and get some food and stuff, right? So we saw Virgin Galactic tweet that they were not going to live stream it. And I'm like, oh, yeah? Well, this should be live streamed. And Jack literally loads up in the rover and drives through the night out to Spaceport America and gets set up. It's not his first rodeo out there. He knows where to get set and gets the drop of the spacecraft.
And this shot, he's literally pointing almost straight up at the sky, craning the camera and his neck, and somehow keeping it all in frame.
He was on two legs like a bipod because the tripod wouldn't go up enough, and so he leans the tripod back and makes a bipod out of it, and he's tracking this thing at maximum zoom. There's the ignition, leaning back like this, getting the shot for us, and then it passes so close overhead he loses it as it goes. But look at this. Jack is just a consummate professional with this stuff.
He tracked that thing all the way up to apogee. You were I remember you were telling him like, oh no, turn the camera a little bit to the left. I mean, he had that thing all the way almost through the entire flight duration. It's pretty dang impressive.
I didn't even was down to a couple pixels, yeah.
Yeah, it was pixels on the screen. He said he couldn't even show it, and I'm like, Jack, it's up and to the left a little bit, right? I didn't want to like make a fool of myself on the live stream. There, he hit the X, then he couldn't even get the tripod any further, so he's like having to wrangle the whole thing into position. But when it was coming down, I felt like you could see the tail in the feathered position, right?
Yep.
I didn't want to say that on the stream because I didn't know for sure what I was seeing. And then everybody's like, oh, what an idiot. That's not the trunk of the dragon or whatever. But I felt like he got it tracked to such a level that you could see the tail go into the reentry position. Good grief.
Yeah. And a reminder, there are people on that. This was 6 people on board, 2 pilots and 4 Virgin employees.
Yep. So, anyways, that was one of the things. We're able to do those sorts of streams because y'all keep showing up. And especially when somebody has something that we have experience capturing. We've done a lot of stuff out at Spaceport. The green flashes are an Ethernet cable getting torqued too much. Sorry about the green flashes. But we try, like any chance we have an opportunity to cover something like that, especially if it's not going to be shared by the organization, we do what we can to bring y'all views of it. So we're able to do that because y'all keep showing up in this teeny tiny little scroll bar over here on the memberships and super chats and that sort of stuff. That's why we can do it. So how are we doing on questions? Should we grab, let's stop the green flashes maybe, Das. Jeez. But how are we doing on questions here?
There's a couple in the queue.
Yeah, a couple. I got some Vulcan questions. Do we have any Virgin Galactic questions?
I haven't seen any Virgin Galactic questions just yet.
Okay. Well, you know something? I jumped ahead of myself here. EJ,
Yeah.
do you think the delayed igniter issue with Vulcan, going back to Vulcan,
Yeah.
do you think that's a problem with the engine or the rocket or the ground service equipment? Is there any information on where that may have come from? That's a question from Ross over here.
Okay. I mean, that's a pretty good question. I think it's a fair question. I don't think that it's probably not the motor. I mean, Blue Origin discreetly has been testing the absolute snot out of these engines out in the desert. They've showed plenty of footage, and we know that they've gone through pretty robust testing. If I had to guess, it's probably some controller on the vehicle, or just, I mean, if you want to get even more specific, it could be something with the onboard computers just have not configured correctly.
Yeah.
I mean, configuring the guidance system and the sequencer on a rocket it's one of those things that you can test it, but this is why they do FRFs. You're going to get to a point where you have to just get the thing out there and be as ready as you possibly can and go through stuff. And once again, the FRF is there for finding stuff like this. It's there to basically make sure that the parameters for the auto sequencer are configured correctly. That was a big thing with the space shuttle too. The space shuttle did FRFs as well with every new orbiter, just to make sure that all the hardware was configured correctly.
It's the sort of thing where we talk about this with SpaceX and the Raptors, and I did the whole thing with the Raptors during the orbital flight test, right? And you test them on the stands. We have McGregor Live. We're always watching the engine tests at McGregor Live, and you see all these tests happen, right? But doing it on the stand is different than doing it integrated with the rest of the rocket and the ground infrastructure and all that sort of stuff. And that's where you shake out all the stuff. I've said it before, like when I would go camping or backpacking, I would shake out my gear and I would just take my bag out of the backyard and I'd make sure I have all the things I need, little fire starters or whatever it is you're supposed to take along, right? And that's the place that you find the issue, not when you're halfway up the mountain here, not when you're halfway into orbit or whatever. You shake this stuff out, and that's what they're doing there. So was it ground system? Was it the rockets? Surely you would have thought that they would have found an igniter problem back on the stand or something. My guess would be integration thing. Something about it being integrated with the systems there, with the rocket and the engine on the pad at the thing, controlled by this. Somewhere in that workflow is the kink that they have to figure out, right?
I mean, yeah, if you want to reduce it to its base element here, when has Vulcan ever controlled the BE4s before? Before it was the test stand, and I'm sure that's a similar piece of software in some way, shape, or form. But the software that governs the rocket's behavior is not the same as a test stand. I mean, you want to get them as close as you can, but one's a test stand, the other's a rocket.
And you're also talking two totally different manufacturers working together, though. But you've got Blue Origin making the engines, and then you've got ULA on the rocket side. So, like we were saying, I'm glad we are getting this BE4. Anything bad happens.
Don't
It's
do
only
that again.
two.
Seriously.
Only
two. He hasn't hit his quota yet. One pun per 30 minutes, so that is your pun for this 30-minute segment of the show, Sawyer.
I'll take it.
Let's see here. Let's see if we can't grab a question. I'm going to say thanks to some folks real quick. Crutch Media, thank you so much for the support. You're wondering exactly how many crewed spacecraft we need. I mean, I'd love to have, like, how many does Star Citizen have? Elite Dangerous have? Like, yes, I want as many as we can support. So thank you.
As there are auto manufacturers. Sorry, I don't mean to interrupt.
Do you still have your coffee cup?
Yeah.
There you go. Let's see here. Multi-Space Industries did 5 Red Team memberships. Appreciate you there, Moldy. And then Chris W. did another 1 membership. We've got one, this is like a massive order from the shop, I guess. This is from Jorg, who said, thanks for the amazing coverage. I'm here since our lovely soda can SN5 and bought multiple t-shirts before. Shout out to Chris W., who just gifted me a membership as well. Greetings from Germany from Robin. Thank you so much for the support. That's awesome. I've been missing reading out stuff like that. Like, I haven't done a lot of streams. Then when I was out at Orbital, I didn't, I was there like plugging in stuff and trying to make cameras work and everything. There's another store. That's the store that's popping up, I guess.
Yep.
But thank you so much, Robin, for hopping in and just sharing the kind words with us. We really do appreciate you there. Thanks for being a part of this. Jim says, glad to see y'all back for the show. Thanks, Jim. We're always seeing Jim's name in chat over there. Travis Cecil did 5 super chats. Andrew says, keep up the good work via the shop. Lauren gifted a Red Team membership. And Jim says, pie time. Ooh, we actually have to, hang on. If we want that to work, we have to put Sawyer up there and then do this sort of thing. Oh, that's the, is it going to display? Yeah, there we go. It's terrible. Shameless. Anyways, thank you for the support, y'all. We appreciate you. EJ, how's your chat doing over on Twitch?
They're doing just fine. They did not like your pun, Sawyer.
What?
They did not like that.
What?
Except for the one guy that likes puns in my chat. He's like, I like this guy.
I like this guy. Nice.
Wow.
Let's see here. I'm looking for Virgin Galactic questions here. Let's see if we can get one on that. Any update on when the next flight might be?
From my understanding, they originally said that if all went well, they were planning for about a month after the successful flight of Unity 25. So hopefully the next month or so. Again, the main goal was to basically, as they put it, test the customer experience. So from what, if you paid the $500,000 or whatever it was at the time to do this, what it would be like from the moment you walk in, do your training and all that through landing.
I mean, I think that entirely depends on how well that flight test went, and we're probably not going to get that information. I mean, you guys know the deal with flight tests, and if you don't, that's watching it at home, like there are recorders all over the vehicle. There could be developmental recorders. They could be operational recorders. There's sensors all over the thing. Usually first flight test or return to flight is very well instrumented. Crispy, STS-26, you know what I'm talking about.
Me too.
Yeah, that's right. So you do too.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, another shuttle guy here.
Oh yeah, yeah, dude. I got to remember that. I got with my people here.
With your people, nice.
So the point is that there's going to be a mountain of telemetry and data to go over. It really depends on if it did exactly what you want it to do. That's what it comes down to with spacecraft. Yeah. Is it doing what you want? If it's not doing what you want, you got to figure out why. So I think the next flight really depends on how well that flight went. It seemed to go okay, but seeming to go okay just because the spacecraft gets down back on the surface. I mean, any landing you can walk away from, absolutely. But there could be things that you might want to figure into that, because just because it didn't happen this time doesn't mean it won't happen another time.
Yeah. As we saw with the previous flight from Virgin Galactic.
Oh yeah.
Was that the crinkly wings one? Like the oil canning where the skin of the aircraft clearly was not quite right? Am I remembering that correctly?
Yeah. The fuselage seemed to not like going to space that much.
Huh. Another question about this real quick. We were seeing, let's see, where was the question I just had? Here we go. Sam Boyd asked, I heard y'all talking about the wings moving. You actually said you all, but I translated it into South Texan for you. I heard y'all talking about the wings moving. What's up with that? And real quick, I got this graphic. Thanks, Ryan, in the background, by the way. So when the spacecraft re-enters, right, it actually folds the tail up. Instead of the tail being back like a normal plane tail, the tail goes, is it a 90-degree angle? Almost a 90-degree angle where these hinges, I think I can draw on it if that's working today. Oh no, it's not working on this monitor. Why didn't I check that in advance? Oh no, that's not the right image at all.
That looks familiar.
So we'll come back to that in a minute. Here. Okay, this is the one we're trying to do. That's like baby Das and baby EJ and baby Sawyer in 2015 streaming from
a long time ago.
It was. Anyways, the tail actually changes, right? It
Mhm.
folds up like this so that it's more stable when it's sort of. EJ, why does the tail fold up like that? You could probably
Well,
explain more than me.
they call it feathering. You're feathering the entire tail of the craft. And if you know like basics about aviation, the stabilizers are at the back of an airplane. Anything that flies through the air it usually has stabilizers at the back. I mean, stabilizers can be at the front if you have canards and stuff.
Yep.
But usually most in like a conventional plane design, like think about like an A320, the horizontal stabilizer, vertical stabilizer in the back. This is no exception, but this thing is flying a little bit differently than where an A320 would fly. So the entire like spacecraft kind of folds 90 degrees, and the stabilizers are basically making it so the delta wing, I guess, on that craft is becoming the entire speed brake, and that's what slows it down enough to where it doesn't need a thermal protection system to come back down.
Yeah. It also
The feathering. Yep.
does it sort of work like a what's the thing you play badminton with?
The shuttle.
There
Yeah.
you go. The shuttle, nice.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
creates this drag up on the top, and it sort of falls out of the sky belly. Like the spaceship was doing the belly flop long before Starship did the belly flop, right?
Mhm.
But here I grabbed a picture of it in the other mode. Let me just drag it over like that. There you can see the tail of the spacecraft that's sort of like going straight back, right? I'm setting it up so I can draw on this for you.
Mhm. Yeah.
Oh no, I'm just gonna have to completely redo that whole setup. Thanks. USB.
I mean, that's an awesome picture, though, I will say.
It really is cool.
Yeah.
But the tail is sort of straight here when it's flying like an aircraft, and then when it's belly flopping, it's coming down like this. The tail folds up so that it creates drag up above the. See, there's the tail folded up, and that's as there's very little atmosphere up there. It sort of comes down belly first, and then they fold the tail down again, and they fly like an aircraft to glide down to their runway. So, good question. I was hoping that I could draw on that for you, but I'm gonna have to figure out what's going on with that.
No
someone in
DOS
chat
art.
asked if it's an ablator nozzle. Yeah, it's ablative. That's how they keep it cool. It's a nitrous injected solid rocket booster. So it's a hybrid, which is actually really cool. Yes, nitrous, like the car thing that makes cars go fast in the movies. Yeah.
And what I think is also really cool about the solid on that is the end of the engine is basically it's not perfectly circular.
Yep.
It's kind of cut down so that it doesn't have to do any steering. They have it angled since it fires only once that it will take it up to the desired altitude.
Here, I got that one I can show. Let's see. Give me just a second.
More DOS art.
I wish. There we go.
I just find that really fascinating about it too. That it's a way to save design. You don't need to steer wings or anything on your way up.
It's cut to give natural pitching up moment. That's why there's no nozzle on top. The gases go up behind the center of mass of the vehicle and makes it go up in the air.
Nice.
Yep.
Look at that. All right, how are we doing on time here? We're halfway through the show. Are we halfway through the topics? Yeah, we're getting there. We're getting there. Here's a super chat from John Wan saying, "Thou shalt not say anything positive about another space company." Thanks, NASA Space Flight. And Shard Baby gifted 5 Red Team memberships. How's it going, Shard? What are you up to today? Gifting some memberships. Anonymous got something from the shop. Remember, if you buy something from the shop and you want to pass on a message but not use your screen name or anything like that, you can share a message anonymously. Says, thanks for the awesome work. Can't wait for IFT2. How do you think the timeline looks for IFT2? Which IFT?
Yes.
Starship IFT?
Not a bad problem to have.
We'll
as a space fan.
We'll come back to the question in just a little bit. We're going to talk about Starship in just a minute. But thank you so much. I don't know.
Tried to avoid it.
What you got from the? You tried to avoid it. It's not going to work.
There was merch with that. I just trying to avoid it.
Oh, jeez. Let's keep going forward here with the other questions. Anybody know how much it costs to take a ride on Virgin Galactic?
I don't know off the top of my head. No.
I believe it's around 200,000, but don't
more than
quote
I can
me on it.
afford. Can I just say that?
I think more than all of us can afford, and then some.
I don't.
Be nice.
I don't actually know. I don't know off the top of my head. Like $250,000 ish U.S. dollars. Do they use curly L's? I mean, sorry, pound sterling. What it is they do? Like it's a lot of money, but I don't think that you can just go to the website and book a ticket and see the price. Can you?
I mean, the tickets are. I mean, this is the thing, and this is probably a good segue for the next topic that we're going to talk about. But commercial tickets are not like oh, this ticket costs this much. It's contractual. The tickets for spacecraft, even for commercial tourist flights, so like New Shepard, Virgin Galactic, even Axiom, which is commercial flights on Dragon, which is what we're going to talk about. They're negotiated a la carte, so it's contractual. So the price can change.
Yep. We
Look at
actually have
this.
numbers on their
Actually,
website. They have a brochure.
you can
No
go to
way.
brochure.virgingalactic.com/pricing. I haven't seen this before. Reserve your
That's
place
awesome.
in history as the person who paid a lot of money for a suborbital spaceflight.
And here's your breakdown.
Here's the breakdown: payment process and timeline by submitting your spaceflight application and placing a $10,000 temporary credit card authorization. What?
Down payment, I guess.
Guarantee your application. You can guarantee if you let them charge a temporary hold of $10,000, they'll review your application. You thought like applying to college was expensive in the United States. Decide to make a firm reservation. You complete preliminary paperwork and pay the full $150,000 deposit. Okay. And then the final balance after paying your $150,000 deposit is $300,000. Includes a $125,000 fully refundable deposit plus $25,000. I don't think they're selling this to me, y'all.
Yeah, $25,000 non-refundable future astronaut community access fee.
What?
I guess that just going to space and back isn't enough to make you an astronaut community member.
I don't know.
You have to pay $25K.
Not so. The initial deposit is $150,000, and you have to pay. They keep 25 of that because you got to hang out with their future astronaut community.
Something like that. Yeah, that's the asterisk next to the $150K.
All right. EJ, you want to go halvesies with me?
I mean,
I'll write it up and you write it down.
How much can we get from the merch shop to pay for it?
Okay. Yeah. To the merch shop. Let's go.
Oh, geez. Okay, so there answers that question for you. How much it costs, man, myth, legend, to go on Virgin Galactic? More than I can afford. How's that? Let's see here. Shall we move right along? What do we got next? Axiom splashdown, huh?
Oh, yeah.
Somebody talk about Axiom. Who wants it?
So you want to take this one?
Sure.
Go ahead.
So we had the Axiom 2 mission, and that was the second private mission, all private mission, I should say, to the International Space Station. They spent time aboard doing a whole bunch of science and research, and then their Dragon capsule successfully splashed down in the waters off the coast of Florida with the 4 crew members on board. And what I find the most amazing is I've had the most respect for the longest time for Peggy Whitson. She was always one of my favorite astronauts. She is now the most experienced U.S. astronaut, adding on to her record now with 675 total days in space. That is amazing, and more than any other woman in the entire world as well.
That's a lot. Oh, this is the thank you for flying SpaceX video. I'm like expecting to see Peggy there, but this is the whole this is Axiom recap video, but this is thank you for flying SpaceX. Yeah.
Yeah.
There was Peggy.
Yeah. The official splashdown was just a couple days ago, May 31st, by the way.
Nice. That actually looked like, there's Jared. It looked like one of our cameras there somewhere. I'm not going to scroll back, but we'll just keep rolling the video. This was the whole, they have the call, right? Where SpaceX Mission Control, Dragon Control, whatever you want to call it, says and thank you for flying SpaceX. Like you hear that in the comms sometimes. But
usually after splashdown.
Yeah. This is that's all the way back on the drone ship and everything. That's like a bunch of different missions that they've flown, huh?
Just a few.
No kidding. Oh, now they want us to return back to the beginning of this. So, what's the big deal? I mean, SpaceX seems like they're just doing this like it's no big deal. Axiom wasn't even a NASA mission, right? It was a commercial mission where a private company hired SpaceX like they were the bus. Not really the bus. Like they were a very nice space Uber, I guess is more of an analogy than the bus, right?
They're providing a service.
Yeah.
I mean,
although NASA does need to be involved because they go within the keep-in sphere of the International Space Station,
right,
which is NASA. So at that part, they obviously have to be included. But otherwise, the research was all theirs. The design of the mission was pretty much all theirs, just as long as it coincided with downtime, quote unquote, at the station and SpaceX's availability to get them a rocket and capsule.
Yeah. I feel there was a time, right? And I will admit this. Like, there was a time when I was like, oh man, I really don't want to fly on the Dragon capsule, right? And then you had the whole thing with the valve and the capsule that detonated, what was that, 2016 or whatever. And now here we are in 2023, and I have completely changed my opinion on the Dragon capsule because it has so much success. At first, it was sort of an unknown, and now just time and time again, not just the NASA missions taking astronauts to the ISS, international partners and stuff, but the commercial missions and inspiration for like all the different things that it has done. Now, I would stamp, not that anybody needs me to do it, right? I would stamp the Dragon capsule as that is an awful lot of success. That seems like a very reliable capsule. Seems like. That's even a dumb way to say it, right?
If you're trying to sell the idea of commercial space, I mean, having customer approval is probably a good thing. So, I mean, you say, oh, you don't want to put your stamp of approval on it, but you see what everybody else sees, you know? So that's probably not a bad thing. And the capsule's success stands on its own. I mean, no one can argue that it hasn't been a successful capsule thus far.
Right. Not only the success of that, but as dumb as this is going to sound, SpaceX blowing up makes it even more reliable. If you think back to the in-flight abort, which certain someone was lucky enough to be on a boat to see it, not behind a cloud like at the
Right.
press site. Still not mad. But yeah, the
Sorry.
fact that in that event, all the escape systems and everything work, that no matter what, you're going to be safe. If there's an issue, you're good. If you finally make it into orbit, dock, and come back with reentry, you're good.
Like, the issue, I guess, one of the issues that we've heard about is that the bathroom doesn't work correctly, right? Not, oh, this entire system failed or whatever. It's like, yeah, the toilet overflowed or whatever. That's the sort of things. That's the level of maturity, I guess you could say they're at. Not we couldn't launch today or whatever. Even down to like the seals on the door. Sometimes we see, oh, there's a hair in the seal, and they're doing the FOD check or whatever. Even that, they're like, all right, we'll take the hair off and we'll check it again and we'll close the door and go to space, right? You're not really seeing these big issues. It's what did I say? Subsystems, less critical things. It's not the huge spacecraft itself. Is it fair to say that on Dragon?
Yeah, I think that's pretty fair. I mean, it's important to note that that the waste receptacle's not working correctly. This isn't the first time this has happened. I mean, Sawyer, I can think of one incident off the top of my head where the shuttle's toilet wasn't working correctly, and they had to to tell us. Why don't you tell us about it? Yeah.
Are we talking about the Peaceable?
Oh yeah,
The Peaceable.
Yep.
There was a mission where there was an issue with disposal of some of the liquid waste from on board the shuttle.
You just said
And-
Peaceable. Like,
And so they literally they tried to empty it out, and it went out into space and it froze, and it was frozen stuck to the shuttle. So they had to use the Canadarm to take right up to the shuttle and knock it off. So there is a good chance around that time that if you saw a meteor overhead, it might have actually been astronaut pee.
Yep.
good grief.
Yep, this stuff happens. It does happen. I mean, there were problems with the Apollo program, but we don't need to talk about that here.
Apollo 10 transcript.
Yeah, we don't need to talk about that here.
Read the Apollo 10 transcript if you really want to know.
Yeah, it's not pretty.
I think the moral of the story is there's so many different things that can happen, and Dragon spacecraft is getting sort of into the nitty-gritty things that can happen. I don't know that they've had a Peaceable hanging off the side of it. Actually, I'd probably rather it be outside the spacecraft than inside the spacecraft.
Yeah, about that with Apollo 10. About that.
Yeah.
Like that's what we're talking about, right? We're not talking about, Dragon is grounded for 2 years because whatever reason, right? I want more spacecraft like that. I don't want anybody to get infinite amounts of money just to act like they're making it happen or whatever. But I'd love 3 spacecraft that were worried about whether or not the P is frozen on the outside.
Yep.
Right?
Not a bad problem to have.
That's where I want to get to. So let's keep working on it. Don't want to waste money, but, I want more spacecraft.
And you know me, I love numbers. I just want to put some of them in here really quickly. So that mission, according to Axiom, was 8 days on the ISS,
Right.
where they conducted 20 STEAM outreach events, conducted 26 research projects in cooperation with 19 research partners.
Huh.
So they got a lot done in a little bit of
Mhm.
time. And also of note for the Falcon 9, and I have to thank Alex for this. I kind of fell in love with the stat the second I saw it this morning. Um, Today marks 13 years to the day since the first flight of Falcon 9. And do
Ah.
you know what the first payload was aboard Falcon 9?
I know. Das, do you know?
I mean, are we asking chat? You're supposed to tell chat to like, hey, put it in chat what your guess
Yeah,
is.
let's
Like,
see.
who knows?
Let's
Let's
see
see
if
who
chat
knows.
Raise your
Yep.
chat hand. I'm gonna look over here. We're still talking about urine on spacecraft.
I mean, I don't blame them.
Cheese
Yeah,
It's
they
kind of
know.
funny.
is listed here.
They
I
know.
should mention that CRS-28 is bringing up new parts for the uh, water purification system that turns urine to drinkable water. But
But not to cheese.
no, I see a few people that are in there right. The main thing on top of it, yeah, you had the wheel of cheese, but the wheel of cheese was inside of a Dragon.
Like
That was used as a qualifying flight for Dragon.
was it like a flight test article, or was it was a boilerplate or something where all the bolts are in the right positions and that sort of stuff, and you either like it belongs in a museum or you slap it on top of a rocket and toss it into space, right?
Yeah, it was the Dragon Qualification Spacecraft Unit.
Dragon Qualification Spacecraft Unit. That's a really lame acronym.
Jakusu.
That's you.
But even that is 13 years to the day. It's 13 years since Falcon 9 Block 1 waffle cone bottom of it, right? When it had the square grid at the bottom. Does anybody even remember that? Like
Oh,
we
yeah.
all see Falcon 9 now and it's the round grid. See if we can grab a picture of that
You
maybe.
give me one quick second. I have a picture of the one from the COTS 2-3 demo flight. You can't really see the engines on it, but just for comparison of what it looked like then versus what it looked like now is kind of hysterical. Let me
Let's
get
see if
that
we
up.
can grab one of these. I can show it on the screen real quick. Alex is screaming at people that cheese was on the second flight.
There you go.
Not on the first flight. The Dragon boilerplate was on the first flight, and the cheese was the second flight. Go after Alex if you disagree with that. But
Yes, thank you. Take the heat off of me for a bit.
take the
I like
heat
it.
off of Sawyer. It was the wheel of cheese on the second flight, and that is not the same flight. How do we know what these flights are? Like, does anybody know where that information came from? I got it from the Next Spaceflight app this morning.
Science.
No. Like if you go to the Next Spaceflight app, right? Everybody knows the Next Spaceflight app, right? And if you scroll down on the Next Spaceflight app, it's like this day in history. It's not going to focus. Oh, maybe it will. You can see my ring light. 55 years ago today. Here's what launched. 52 years ago today. 58 years ago today, right? And if you scroll down, you can actually get the mission. Where's 13 years ago today? There you go. Right there. I'm not even showing it on the screen, right? Focus camera. Flight 1, 13 years ago today. Falcon, can I tap it? Oh, like that. There you go. And it gives you like all this background information about the mission and stats and that sort of stuff. Anyways, that's how I knew this morning. Because we were getting ready for the launch, and I was like, here it goes. Oh, what is this? Sawyer, what is this image you gave me to show here?
That was a picture that I took of the Falcon 9. I believe it was still Block 1,
Yeah.
maybe 1.2 or 0.2 or something.
It
But
looks
yeah,
so weird.
it looks so stubby. Yeah, it doesn't look right. What I can do though is I can show you two
Damn.
back-to-back pictures here if you don't mind.
Yeah.
They do include me, so
Okay.
apologies for those of you that hate looking at my face.
If you send it
but-
to me, it's clear to show on air. So
True. Oh yeah, no, I took these.
nice.
So, and then here's for comparison. So, exact same launch pad, exact same vehicle, 10 years apart.
Oh, look at this. Here we go. All right. It's going to take me just a second, Sawyer.
Jeez.
Yeah.
And actually, let's do this more cleanly. Here is Sawyer then, and then I'll get the
Well,
other
here's
one so I
now.
can just flip back and forth between them. And here is the recent one. Is it the same camera? No, they're different names. I was like, one is DSC_6893, and I went to see if the other one was like
No,
DSC_00.
I improved my camera since then.
Let's see here. There is the young Sawyer in front of a weirdly SpaceX logoed Falcon. And then here is modern day Sawyer.
Same exact launch pad, people. You can see the same flame trench over there, so just at a
Yep.
slightly different angle. But yeah, that's 11 years apart, I believe. No, 10 years apart.
No kidding.
Yeah, 2012 and 2022.
Huh. And the fairings, that's the thing. I couldn't realize what looked different, but that's a dragon on top. Or the boiler, whatever, whichever one that is, right?
No, that was an actual dragon.
That was an actual dragon
the one
on
that
top.
docked, the first one to ever dock to the
Enhance.
ISS.
Look,
Yep.
there. What, I can get over there.
I have a close-up of the fairing if you really want it.
mean,
Well,
but
this one
yeah.
has at least 3 pixels, Sawyer, so...
Look at the you guys want the difference in scale there. Look at the rocket compared to the lightning towers in the first and second pictures.
Here,
It's
let me...
quite a bit larger.
I'll get back to 100%. Okay, so there's that. Oh, it does look totally different.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
It even sticks like the fairing sticks up above the transporter erector.
Yeah, it's
More
actually
too.
tall now. And then it is the newer TE as well,
Yep.
which kind of had to be given that the B1 was a little bit shorter.
And also that pad's seen some stuff.
It's seen some stuff. Nice.
It's seen some stuff, man. Just leave it
Seen
at
some
that.
things, man, and some stuff.
Let me see. It's seeing some more stuff now, isn't it?
Oh yeah.
Oh boy.
I think our flyover showed more and more work for a crew tower down there, didn't it?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, there's the close-up of it.
Nice. Look, I can actually get even closer up.
The
So-
old dragon.
This is like an old dragon, huh?
Very old, yeah. Again, that's the first ever one that docked to the ISS.
That's the one that's hanging in Hawthorne from Mission Control, right?
Is it really?
I think it's the one at Kennedy.
Okay.
One of the
I
two.
think that's the one at the visitor complex at
So
KSC.
which one is the wheel? Which one is the one that's at SpaceX HQ? Is that the Wheel of Cheese one? This
It
is
has-
important.
I would
Chat.
think so.
Oh no, chat. Somebody help
Chat.
us out. I
Yes,
actually don't
the
know.
one hanging is the one that carried the cheese per Alex. So
No.
Alex is our cheese guy today right now.
Hanging where? Hanging at Hawthorne or
At
hanging?
Hawthorne.
Okay.
Yes.
I didn't know if they were both hanging. Back to the cheese. It just always comes back around to the wheel of cheese.
Just when I thought I was out, mozzarella pulls me back in.
Oh.
What?
Oh.
What is that from? Okay, we're past
Okay,
4
Adrian.
o'clock, so that's your pun? Was that even a pun?
Oh.
For
It was a
this 30-minute
reference.
segment. It's a reference, okay.
It was a pun, a reference that had a pun in it that I
Reference
added.
that has a pun in it. Okay. Oh, geez. This one, other differences, like this has the pop-out solar arrays. Instead
Yep.
of the body solar arrays, where you like in Kerbal, you put like the little solar panels, the oxstats, right, and you put them all over the spacecraft. It makes that noise when you do it. And these are the old Extendo solar arrays, and the new Dragons have solar panels just right on them, don't they?
Yeah, the very different looking trunk, and also the separation system is quite different too, with 12 pushers
These
that
things.
separate it.
So is this? Oh my gosh, I can't draw. I need to y'all just need to talk while I fix my drawing thing real quick.
I mean, yeah, so it's.
Okay. What do we
Discuss.
What are we looking at? What do you want to discuss here?
I mean, first off, I love the Falcon logo, slightly older on it too.
Yeah. I mean,
And then,
another thing that you could talk about is the transporter erector. If you look just below the Dragon swing arms on the left-hand side of the screen, there's struts that connect the Dragon service umbilicals to the rest of the TE. It's something important that SpaceX had the modular design between Cargo and Dragon figured out for their ground service equipment way back from the start. And that they still do stuff like that to the day. Hey, there it is.
Yep.
Sorry.
There it is.
but yeah, you can see the individual pushers
Yeah.
that
These things, right?
separate. Yep.
Is that
Yep.
what we're looking at?
Uh-huh. There's 4 of the 12.
Nice. And that's different than the big piston that separates it nowadays. Is it now the piston, or how does the Dragon separate nowadays?
So it's 3. There's
It's
three.
three.
There's 3 outer pistons like that do most of the separation work, but
Right.
there's one that you do see on the stream And that one on the stream kind of pushes up the nozzle of the Merlin vacuum engine.
Right.
And if now, chat, I know this if I'm remembering correctly, so please chime in. That one is just to make sure that the Merlin vacuum nozzle doesn't hit the inner stage during separation. It's the 3 outer ones that are pushing it away.
Right.
But it is still technically, you can count that as a pusher. So
Yeah.
it's 3 or 4, depending on your count.
3 on the outside and 1 on the inside. I'm going to see if we can get a photo of it, because you've seen it. Like every live stream, I could scroll through a live stream and you're like, oh, look, you know what you're looking at, because you see that sort of tripod device in the middle or whatever, right? And you know that you're looking from the upper inner stage of the booster, sort of looking out at the spacecraft that's going to fly away, right?
Yep.
So, anyways, it's just so clean. Like, it doesn't look right because it's clean.
Yeah.
Does that
make
make
seeing the
sense?
dirty boosters now.
No thoughts of landing legs yet.
Yeah, right.
I mean,
Good
just
grief.
another poignant thing to kind of bring up, if I may. I mean,
Yeah.
Sawyer, when did you take this first picture?
2012.
I mean, that's 2012. Dragon 1 came on the books in 2008 for the COTS contract, right?
Mhm.
So if you look at the entire thing, this is kind of RE Starliner. The first Dragon flew 2010,
Yeah.
first to the ISS 2012. They got the commercial crew contract in 2014, and then manned space flight in 2020. It's over a 12-year time frame. It doesn't seem like it's that long, but it is a pretty dang long time to even go about engineering something for humans. And that's with an uncrewed capsule being tested first. That just kind of goes to show you the scope of how long it takes to build a spacecraft that A, can come up and come back down, B, do it reliably, and then C, do all that with people on top of it. So this stuff does take time. And the frequency of launches that we see with SpaceX kind of makes it seem like it doesn't take up as much time as it does, but it definitely takes time.
Huh. I think
No.
I'm trying to get another picture up here. There we go. There's a Falcon Heavy, and that. Whoa. Okay. Max apparently has more pixels than everybody else. Those
All the
are
pixels.
those are the pushers there, like the 3 tri-symmetry pushers. Am I getting to the right thing there?
Mhm.
The side booster ones are the ones that are closest to Falcon 9, since they're kind of interchangeable.
Down this way.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. That's why I was like, what are we looking at there? So, I'm not sure that's. Yeah. Anyways.
Yep.
Okay.
Falcon Heavy looks awesome. I'm
does.
sorry. I'm just gonna say it. That's an amazing machine.
It just looks.
Those are being
It's an
told by
amazing
out. Those are
machine.
the grid fin supports.
Yeah, I'm like,
Yep.
wait a second. I don't think that's what we're supposed to be looking at. Anyways, these look like they have done things, right? These are like used boosters, and you go back to some of the old. What is going on here? Like these sorts of things, and it's like, oh, so fresh and so clean, right? And now we're all used to seeing like the battle-worn booster. Like, look at the soot on the side of the booster, and then even here, what? I am having serious trouble with which one of these images is zoomed and which isn't. Just the fact that they've been flown over and over again. We've come a long way in the time that
Yeah.
we've been spending this. We do need to talk about Starship at some point, don't we?
I think we probably should.
I think we need
what's
to.
that thing?
Yeah.
I don't know what that is.
What's that thing? Let me say thank you to some folks real quick. We'll answer this one as part of this from Anonymous talking about the second Starship flight, right? John Garner became a Red Team member real quick. We've got Bidford, I'm not sure which one it is. $20. So good to see Sawyer back. Now to let you talk a bit more. We're working on it.
Well, thank you. I'm so glad to be back. It's been a little rough health-wise, but being with my people, my launch friends, my team here, and you guys especially, made me fight to get back.
There you go.
Deal.
Hey, he's talking here. All right, he's talking. Let the man talk, okay?
Forget about it.
Bideford, thank you so much for the support there. Let's see. Zaphod B. Froopy Hood right there. Hoopy Fruit, Froopy Hood. It's the other way, isn't it? Mozzarella cheese sticks, Falcon 9 frozen food merch. What?
I'm hungry.
Look at I'm hungry.
Just when I thought I was out, they mozzarella cheese pulled me back in.
Oh, you can't just say the same thing again.
Gosh. Anyways.
Wait a minute.
Things are funnier in threes, right? So,
Oh, no, please.
I'm going to use the remaining 3 5-minute segments of the show for Starship news. I think the biggest, well, I don't know. I think the biggest recent news that we got that's now just over a week ago was SpaceX with that sort of highlight reel of the first flight. And then at the end of it, they say up next, Booster 9 and Ship 25. So we get this information that they're going to be going for Booster 9 and Ship 25. And we already know that Ship 25 is out at the suborbital farm, and I'm starting to look for road closures for static fires. So when do y'all think, EJ, when do you think we're going to be getting into some static fires here? I'd like to see some fires back out there, start like the rocket fires, not grass fires.
I've been a little bit busy in real life, so I'm not entirely up to snuff with where the components are. Fellas, maybe you can help me out. Where is the booster right now? Did they move the booster to the pad yet, or is it just the Starship? Or where's the location of Booster 10 and Ship 25?
Well, EJ, if we go to nsf.live/starbase, we can actually get a live footage.
Starbase Live? What's that?
What's that? Well, let me tell you more. No, they haven't moved the booster out to the launch site yet. The ship is there. And here you go. Get a live feed from Starbase Live there. You can see Ship 25 in a couple of the angles there, but they have not rolled the booster out yet.
Okay.
So,
RE static fires, it's gonna be a second. I think them fixing up the pad is gonna probably the bottleneck right now. We know from the integrated flight test that it had a number done on it. So that's probably going to take some time to fix that. I think that's the bottleneck. I don't know. I'll say a month. That's just completely off, like shooting from the hip there.
Okay. I think we're likely to see the ship do a static fire long before we see a booster do a static fire, because the booster needs to be on the orbital launch mount. They've done tons of groundwork around there, right? We've seen the excavators going basically nonstop, like all hours of the day and night. They've been bringing in gravel. They've been smoothing things out. They, of course, removed all the debris first. But remember when it's like, oh, the orbital launch mount looks like it's pretty done. And then a year later, they're still doing piping, right?
Yeah.
So the devil in the details on the orbital launch mount. And even though they've done a ton of groundwork, I think it's going to be a while before anything gets back on there. But the suborbital tank farm with Ship 25 over there, I feel like I should go ask the Starbase Live Ops to put. I guess I could do it, right? I'm just going to hijack Starbase Live real quick. Stand by. Let's say.
I guess you could say that OLM work continues.
What is that? That's going to be. OLM work continues. People like OLM thumbs. Chat, explain to me why you always click on thumbs on YouTube if the OLM is visible in the thumb. I don't understand it. Let me see.
Because it looks cool.
Is it Beach 1 or I actually don't know if that's Beach 1 or Beach 2 because I turned off my multi-view. Let's look for Beach 2. Beach 2. I'm just going to change the entire stream to Beach 2. Oh, nerds got me. And in just a second, this will actually change over. There we go. That is Ship 20, as I'm typing Discord commands to change the scene. That Ship 25 on the suborbital farm, and that is likely in good shape for a static fire. We've seen them do some of the static fires over there. This didn't get any damage from the orbital launch mount. It's way across what used to be the landing pad, right? So I have a feeling that we're going to see the ship be able to be static fired long before we see anything back on the orbital launch mount. Right now, we've talked about this before, but sometimes we get into... They don't want to stop work on the orbital launch mount and have to clear out the entire site for a static fire on the suborbital mount.
Yep.
You have a cat, Sawyer?
Yeah.
Oh, you had a cat?
I've
Really?
I've had him for 7 years.
I didn't. Is
sweet.
this their first stream appearance? I didn't know you had a cat.
Yeah, I mean, I try and keep him away from the stream because now he's caught up in my earpiece. But
Yeah. Uh-oh. It's fine. Sorry, I just looked up and I saw like a tail flopping around, and I'm like, what?
well, yeah. Hopefully he doesn't need his own name card and will stay on the quieter side. But that's Jake.
It's fine. Hey, Jake. So doing a static fire for the ship over here, but they don't want to kick all the workers out. They have to secure the equipment, et cetera, all the stuff they have to do to actually make the static fire happen on the suborbital pad. They still have the ship attached to the crane over there, right? They lifted it up, they put it on the suborbital pad, and they haven't removed the squids or anything like that. So what exact work they're doing, we've seen on a daily basis, if we have Mars cam pointed that way, the air conditioner vents, right? Everybody remember the white hose that would go into the inside of the Starship to try and bring fresh air and hopefully slightly air-conditioned air into the cavities that they're working inside. But we've seen that run up the side. You can sort of see it on this, but another angle may come around. Oh, Mars is looking at a booster in the Mega Bay right now. Okay.
Apologies for the distraction. Again, pay attention to the.
No, it's fine. It's
left.
Sawyer, it's fine.
Dude, it's the internet, man. That's
totally
not a thing.
fine.
They can't not notice a cat.
There you go. Look.
The internet.
It's like voice activated here. It looks like the hose has actually fallen out right now.
Ooh.
I don't think that AC hose is going through. Why do those things fall apart so often? So I've got buffering on my stream. Nice. Anyways, Ship 25 is out there, likely going to end up doing static fires on it long before we see anything happen at the orbital launch mount. So apparently the ticker on Starbase Live is supposed to say OLM work continues as well. But we're going to see the ship do some static fires at some point. Of course, we're going to be watching. Starbase Live Ops nerd, you can swap that back off of the migraine-inducing turbulence cam right now. During the day when it's hot, we try to keep some of the cameras that are further away backed off a little bit more so you don't get that atmospheric turbulence in your shot constantly. We try to use the closer in cameras for those sorts of shots. But hey, anyways, Ship 25 on the pad. I guess we could also say Ship 25, we already know that it cryo-proofed over at Massey's, right? So where they were doing the cryo testing, they used to shut down all the work at the orbital launch mount, the tower, and that sort of stuff for a cryo test, but then they not outsourced that. They sent that up the road to Massey's. And we know Ship 25 has already done that testing over there. What else do we have here?
I believe that the cooling plate that they were talking about as well is there. It's not on, but that's, I guess, some progress of the idea of trying not to destroy even more of the launch pad and the launch mount during the second flight. Those
have been assembled. If you've seen some of the aerial photos over at the assembly site, right? Like the yard where they put stuff together. And we've seen manifolds and stuff coming together. I don't believe I've seen those roll out to the pad yet. Some of the bigger tubes, hoses, pipes, or whatever, right, have made their way over to the pad, but they're still doing sort of the base work here. I haven't seen the huge manifold systems or anything end up over this way yet. But a lot of work happening over there. Ship 25 is going to static fire first, and then we'll probably see these things rolling over to the OLM. When do you think it's going to be ready? Like the OLM?
It's gonna take some time.
Yeah.
They got to test the deluge system on there. That's gonna take a little bit. I mean, a lot of people, I saw a lot of in the just internet spaceflight community.
Yeah.
A lot of people saying like, oh, why didn't they just put a deflector down here? Why didn't they just do that? This is a hard problem to solve. There's a lot of thrust going on underneath that OLM. We saw it from the first flight. I mean, if somebody else can name another flame trench or a design that would be able to withstand, 15 million pounds of thrust or like 70 meganewtons or something like that, I mean, I'm sure SpaceX would be all ears. That's double the Saturn V's thrust. And, the thing about that is that the Saturn V damaged the flame trenches. Absolutely. And that's a big flame trench. That's a flame trench that's designed for a bigger rocket.
There were even flying concrete bits on the big flame trenches during shuttle launches and stuff. I can't think of a Saturn V photo, but I'm almost positive that it happened because I know they're always doing little repairs and stuff like that because chunks of concrete come off.
I mean, rockets are abrasive. They're abrasive.
If you look at any pictures after shuttle launches inside the flame trench, they will go in, inspect it, and potentially do repairs if needed.
And these are rockets that operate nowhere near the thrust of Super Heavy with all of its engines, even at like 90% power, which is what I think it was off of the stand for the integrated flight test. I mean, anything you put down there, you're going to lose. It's a really complicated thermodynamics problem to solve. I mean, you have to deal with pressure and, like I said, thermal, you have to deal with the heat. Those are two really hard things to deal with, especially with that amount of force.
Yep. And they've been testing stuff like we talked about previously, the McGregor video that they released where we knew that they had that rig out there. We did an entire video about it where I was talking about we've seen some weird things at McGregor because one of the aerial photos that Gary took out there caught this concrete sort of 45-degree reinforced test target downrange from the Raptor exhaust. And we're like, they are going to be firing Raptors at something there. And then months later, SpaceX released that video where they had water spraying out of the test target, and then they hit it, not point blank, but basically rocket engine point blank, right, with an engine exhaust, and sort of we're testing those things. So they've been doing work on testing it. I'm really curious how this steel sandwich shower head bidet, I don't know what it's supposed to be, is going to work.
The bidet.
It's just like a rocket bidet.
I mean,
if
they can get it to turn to steam, if they get enough of that to turn to steam, you might be able to solve that problem. But I'm not even sure if that's the right solution. And heck, I'm not even sure if if what SpaceX thinks that's the right solution. I think they're just trying things, So what do you think?
I was gonna say, I don't think they know exactly. They obviously are doing their best calculations that they can.
Yep.
But I think they learned a heck of a lot, at least from Flight 1. And we already, have the rumors of Raptors 3 and onward. So there may have to be even just changes to the engines and the launch pad to make it work, which is why, again, the testing at McGregor has been so important.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm getting ready to hijack Starbase Live again because people are asking for a tour. If you want us to do like a live tour of Starbase, you should catch up with one of our Raptor sides. Anytime we say Raptor side, it means that we're just going to hop in with no face cams and talk over Starbase Live, the 24/7 stream, and just point the cameras at whatever people ask us to point the cameras at. But let me see if I can't hijack this again real quick.
No, he's Jake, not Jack. So if you want to say hi, Jake.
Did you see the chat, Sawyer? You were feeling sick, but now you're feeling fine?
Yes.
Yeah?
That was amazing. I laughed.
I said it for you.
I was trying not to laugh out loud.
I said it for you, like you hit your quota, so I figured I would read that one for you.
Yes, thank you, Catbirds, for that chat. Where, it did say Sawyer was feeling sick, but now he's feline fine.
He's feline fine. Nice.
Uh,
let's see here.
People tend to like these, One of these days, I gotta do a poll or something with people of specific jokes.
Oh my gosh.
Josh, you and I gotta figure something out like that.
We'll just do like a dedicated comedy night or something, and just open mic night at NSF.
Or I know my people are out there that like puns. Maybe if I get below a certain rating, I can't make a pun ever again on stream.
Yeah, we said that. We said that. The next one, the pun that you put in a video, we're going to have the audience score you or something like that, aren't we?
Yes.
Okay, I hijacked our river camera here real quick so that I can do this. Somebody was asking if we could show where Booster 10 is, and Booster 10 rolled over here to the end of the rocket garden, right? So they rolled that out. We actually have a time lapse of that happening. This camera specifically is actually doing a long duration time lapse. I deleted everybody's access to it so that they can't PTZ it and point it different ways and stuff. And we have this camera constantly taking screenshots every couple minutes, so we can do a 6-month time lapse of them building the Mega Bay 2, right? We actually did. It's going to come right here. You can actually see the foundation of it right now down there. Those are the first white pillars. But anyways, Booster 10 is over here in this area, and they're building that new Mega Bay. Back in the background, they're stacking it, and then they're assembling the pieces up here in the front of the assembly line, the Sanchez site, whatever you call it. Some people call it the Sanchez site. It's sort of where they assemble things, right, before they roll them out. What else was the other question there? Booster 9, the Mega Bay. I'm sure I have a camera in the Mega Bay. Which camera looks into the Mega Bay right now? I'm going to guess Road Cam looks into the Mega Bay. Let's see. Survey says I need to go back and bring up my other multi-view. I have a multi-view that shows me all the cameras, and I'm doing this blind. So that's the high bay that has ships in it. I bet you it's Mars in the Mega Bay then. Like this. Maybe somebody will change it before I can. All right. It'll pop up in just a second here, but that's where 9 is. Not this building. Oh, actually, this shows the building they're disassembling. No, go back. I just wanted to show the building they're disassembling here, right? So if we pause, seriously, play, rewind, spacebar to pause. There we go. They're making room for the new Star Factory stuff over here, so you can see where I put my pen. There we go. They've literally taken this. Wheels are like falling off the wagon here. They've taken the siding off the building here. And they actually took down the old windbreak. Remember the windbreak that used to stand over here somewhere? And we saw that collapse. It was the first tall structure at Starbase.
Yep.
But they're sort of clearing out that footprint there to make the huge enclosed facility, the Star Factory, where they're going to work on all this stuff. So, anyways. And there is that, okay. Is that Booster 9 that we see here? They always shuffle them on me, and then no, last night they shuffled Booster 9 across the bay, and that's Booster 11 that just got stacked. I think that's Booster 9. Okay, yeah, that's Booster 9. Nice. Thanks, Marscam. This is Booster 9 that you can see right here in the Mega Bay. So, I've done enough talking. Who else is supposed to talk right now?
So you're talking about the construction for the new Starbase facility, right?
Yeah.
How they're getting rid of the windbreak and getting rid of all those buildings. It's crazy, man. Those buildings are brand new.
Yep. It's
like, nope, up, down, nope.
Somewhere I have a photo of me from, it was 2019.
Yeah.
Right? In 2019, it's here's the windbreak, and there's a little crumply nose cone there, and then a little tent. It's not even a big building tent. It's just a little sunshade tent. And now they've got the Mega Bay, the Rocket Garden, all the different, it's ridiculous how much work they've done just in the last couple of years. So
I think it kind of speaks to SpaceX's design mentality that everything is iterative. Everything is in flux all the time, even right down to the buildings.
Yep.
Let's build this building because we need it now. Oh, we don't need it later? All right. Who cares if it's brand new? Take it apart. You know what I mean? Take it apart. Even, you see this with the boosters themselves. The first Starship booster that flew had a hydraulic thrust vector control system on it. And Elon said on Twitter that they're switching to an electric TVC now. They flew it anyway. All right, blackboard, erase it, launch another one.
Yep.
Building. No, we don't need that. Get rid of it. New one.
Sort of erased itself, I guess, right?
Yep. Yeah.
That's a way to put it.
That is a good way to put that.
Another thing real quick, the huge crane was assembled over here too. And the crane that we're seeing right here is actually the massive crane that'll be lifting the prefabricated sections for Mega Bay 2, right? And the foundations for Mega Bay 2 are just off the other side over this way. I didn't even draw it where the Mega Bay is. I don't think, unless they really need to get rid of this dirt mound. They dug these trenches to put the new electrical lines, and then they dug another trench, and so our cameras at our highway site, we keep them close to the ground so they're more stable in high winds. And now a lot of our views are blocked by these dirt piles that they put in. But anyways, they're working on the Mega Bay over there. They got the huge crane assembled, different aesthetic to the crane this time. This one, so somebody said that it should be like Darth Crane or something because it's black with a red lightsaber. Do we have any other fun? I know some people hate fun names for the cranes, but I thought that was clever.
Yeah. What type of crane is it? It's a Lever 11,000, right?
Yeah, it was 11. It's straight up 11,000.
11,000. It's a lattice crawler crane, which is pretty heavy duty. But I mean, Darth Crane works good too.
Darth Crane. Chris is gonna get onto my case afterwards. He's like, "Don't name the cranes cute things," and here we're saying the cute name for the crane. Whichever. Oh, there's a new message in the back channel that maybe just that happening. Let me go see.
I mean, we've created our own individual SpaceX names. The Pad Ninja is not an official SpaceX designation for the people in the closeout, or wasn't originally.
I mean, hang on a second, Sawyer. Wait a second. Look at this. There it is. You mean to tell me? Give me the garage. There.
Oh, I agree. They absolutely are the Pad Ninjas from now on out. But
even the guys, the umbrella, dude.
That wasn't the official name for them ever. We all just oh, they look like ninjas. So they're the Pad Ninjas.
Look, they were going for the ninja aesthetic. They wanted to dress up like ninjas. You've got the umbrella back there like it's a sword. You've got the hood and the thing. They wanted us to call them ninjas, right?
But yeah, and the bays, were those officially named or?
The bays are interesting because there are official names in some of the paperwork. The plans actually call all of them high bays, if I recall correctly. right? And even the ones that are called mega bays are officially called high bays, and SpaceX is numbering them as all high bays, but there's like the high bay and the higher bay and the highest bay and that sort of stuff, but they're all high bays last I saw. I can get corrected here if I'm wrong in the official paperwork, but then Elon tweets out something like, oh, Mega Bay and Mechazilla and that sort of stuff, and then we'll sort of like go on to those sorts of names.
I think even the
Anyways,
names are
There
in
you go.
flux,
Same
just
thing
like
with
the
naming
buildings.
cranes then.
Yeah. Yeah. There you go.
oh my
Bring it
gosh.
full
All right.
circle.
I haven't
Yep.
read things in a minute here. Let's grab a couple questions. We're a couple minutes over the time frame here. EJ, you good?
I'm good.
Are you getting like called onto the side there? Like,
No.
sorry, are you good?
Unfortunately, my cat jumped off, but I am still good.
Oh, we're done here then.
Show's over.
Let's go.
Jake the cat has egressed from the Sawyer
Left the building.
spacecraft here. Yeah.
Yep.
Let's see here. So question from Anonymous in that store message earlier. How do you think the timeline looks on IFT2? I think we're going to see physical things sort of shape up around the OLM, but there's a long way before we actually get to a flight test. So is it going to happen this year or not yet? I bet you, if I had to guess, timelines at SpaceX, very aggressive, very aspirational, trying to get back in the middle of this year. Is that actually going to happen or not yet? We got to get closer in. We got to see more of the piping happening and all that sort of stuff. We need to see a test flow. We need to see static fires out on the suborbital pad. We need to see a booster come back. We need to see a booster lifted by the chopsticks again. All of the things that have to happen. There's a lot of visual things we're going to observe. So if you're going to disappear and wake me up when it's flying again, right, you're going to miss a lot of really cool stuff in the meantime. Anyways.
For my bet, since I don't think they're going to be launching in 5 days, for those who use the American dating system, for another funny number, I think I've been seeing this in chat, and I do want to give them credit, is people are suggesting September, but in particular, which 2 vehicles are set to fly?
That's actually the next question here. If we have any Dolly Parton fans for the music, 9 to 5 for Booster 9 and Ship 25 launch on September 25th. That was actually from John here, shooting for 9 to 5 because it's Booster 9 and Ship 25.
Oh, what a way to make a living.
I'll allow it.
Yeah, that wasn't a pun. That was just finishing the song.
That was just proper. That was just what you say. Remember when they did the starships are meant to fly? That's the thing. You know what I mean?
They kept blasting it at the beach.
They were blasting that. Yeah. If they don't, when they fully stack Booster 9 and Ship 25, if they don't play some Dolly Parton tunes, I don't know if I can riot. I'll be disappointed. I'll be severely disappointed. Let's see here. Let me speed run a couple of these. Daniel's Weather Marine Space Station. Thank you for gifting a red team member. You got Jim Cavett with a red team. We've got John with more red teams gifted. Feathered Serpent gifted 20 red team memberships. Wow. That is quite a few. Again, y'all, all those things add up to the member program. You get access to the special behind the scenes. I've been releasing some of my raw pressure washer footage. Like, just the raw footage because we edited it for the explanation video where I was talking about it.
It sounds more exciting than it is.
No, it's awesome. What do you mean it sounds more
it doesn't sound exciting when you put it that way, but it is. I'm trying to word it.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
EJ, you saw the pressure washer, right?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Okay.
Pressure washer cam, man.
I just got all of the pressure washer like raw footages, and we uploaded them as member content. And I owe Chris sometime today, because Chris posts the member content, right? All of the raw cameras. I had like 8 or 9 cameras rolling in the backyard, super slow mode, 960 FPS cameras, and then a close-up camera, and then like a blast camera right next to it. All the cameras rolling, and I just dumped the raw footage for the members. It doesn't make any sense to just put it on YouTube because people are like, "What's this?" But if you're a member and you want to see the raw footage and hear I'm like, it worked amazingly well, I think is what I said. And my wife goes, "For you," because she was operating the slow motion cameras right down next to the blast zone where the pressure washer was hitting.
Oh.
Anyways, that's behind the scenes stuff that we put in the member program. When you get the gifted memberships, you're able to see that content on YouTube. We did the McGregor test. Has anybody seen the McGregor things where it's like we show all the McGregor tests from the month in one video frame and we synchronize them all?
That's cool.
That's that's another thing we put out to members. We have like behind the scenes messages and chats. You get access to Discord at a certain level, but whatever. Let's see. Oh, I actually don't know the answer to this. Did the OLT get its elevator installed? Remember that issue puts it lightly. The elevator failing a couple days, was it, before their attempts at flight? I don't actually know.
When they had to use the cherry picker basically to get people up to the vehicle instead. Yeah.
To get up the tower, they had to use the used aerial work platform to carry people up and down. I don't think I'm actually reading chat to see if anybody saw something I didn't see. Starbase
I mean, if
Live,
I had to guess, just based off of the heat and things that happened anyway, they were probably going to have to redo the elevator or repair it regardless. So I guess it's just a matter of how urgent is it.
Huh.
This is the one at Starbase, right? For the Starbase tower?
Yeah, like inside the tower.
If I saw that elevator right, that looks like a temporary elevator that they put like on the side of a construction site for a building. So I'm pretty sure it wasn't designed to be used like this diesel, you know what I mean?
Like as much as they've been using it, maybe?
Yeah, probably.
Interesting. It's just like now they don't have any way to really access. If they need to get to the top of the tower, they ride their longest aerial work platform up to 100 meters, which is just, they've been taking people a little bit less than 100 meters up to where the QD arm is, and they get out at the QD arm and they have to climb a ladder the rest of the way up if they need to get on top of the tower. So the temporary elevator is called a hoist.
Please tell me you know this because we're putting an NSF camera up there.
Yeah. Because we're putting it. Hey, I'm available if they need me to put a camera up there. We're gonna EJ. We need to get you down there so you can do some weed whacking or something for us.
Okay, sounds good.
Maybe
Are we gonna get a weed whacker cam or?
Yes.
Yeah. Now we're talking.
Vote so we got pressure washing and weed whacking. We're doing great here.
Vote in chat if you
almost
would
got
like
a full garden.
Live Starbase landscaping, like a GoPro strapped to the end of a weed whacker, and we're clearing out the weeds from the sites.
Awesome.
Okay. Anyways, solar power. So the cams are all solar powered out there. Solar arrays, they have just under a kilowatt of solar at each site and lots of storage, especially if you want to use a Starlink out there. But anyways, we do have solar power.
I guess that would work if I could go behind EJ, because if he's the weed whacker, I'll be the wheel whacker.
Sounds good, man.
Cool.
We need to stop the show. The problem is that we got into the next 30-minute segment, and so Sawyer was granted another pun.
I got it.
If we don't end the show, Sawyer's going to keep with the puns.
You say it like it's a bad thing.
EJ Weed Eats live on NSF is quality content. Nice, Engelberg.
I mean, if this is the content you want to see, let us know, I guess.
It's not a technical limitation. I can get a weed whacker cam live from Starbase if that's what y'all want to see. Like, it's not a technical problem.
You can. You legitimately can. That's the scary part.
Yeah, that's all right.
Okay. Did we talk about everything?
I think there's just that one picture that we may have gotten a sneak peek of that's worth showing.
Yes.
To end it.
We did the show today because we were sort of getting the band back together long before NSF had a YouTube, right? Way back in 2015. 2015? I don't even know what year that is. I'm getting old.
A DeLorean we don't know about or something?
Right. Gigawatts are involved.
Yes.
Anyways, we were streaming on Twitch. EJ and I were streaming on Twitch. Sawyer, you were actually streaming on Twitch as well. Sawyer is your name, not Schroyer. And
I started watching DOS.
Yep.
And then I think you rated EJ.
Yep.
And then I saw he was building a full-scale ISS, and then he said, "Wait until I show you my shuttle," and I instantly became good for the shuttle and Kerbal.
Yep.
And that was it. I knew I had two friends for life right there.
Yep.
So we all met over on Twitch streaming side, right? Literally because we all played Kerbal and we built cool space stuff in Kerbal. EJ still does that, honestly. And we ended up, Sawyer introduced me to the Intrepid Museum, which we still work with, right? And I was like, wow, we always play video games at home. What if we went to play video games at a museum under a space shuttle or something like that, right? And so roll it all the way back to 2015, where EJ and Sawyer and I are at the Intrepid Museum. The museum, no clue who we are. Sawyer vouches for us, and the museum lets us set up this little table, and they're like, you want to do what? You want to play a video game and send it to the internet? 2015, remember? And we're sitting there playing Kerbal Space Program with Space Shuttle, with the Enterprise behind us, the glide test behind us, 8 years ago at their Space and Science Festival. Oh, you had your glasses even.
What? Oh, sorry.
That was like the
doing
EJ
something.
signature thing, was to have the glasses on.
Yep. For a
Oh,
long
How many
time.
years did people want you to show your eyes
Yeah.
and you didn't?
Dude, yeah, that
Let me
was
see.
strange doing that for the first time.
Oh my gosh. Where's the one? Somewhere there is like a terribly, I think I sent it to you, Sawyer. This wacky framed video. Here we go. Let's get this still frame from this video. From the perspective of the camera. This photo on the screen was actually taken by the museum photographer at what these nerds were doing at their
Yeah.
museum. But look at
We were
this.
totally legitimately playing when they took this and totally didn't stage any part of that.
We wouldn't stage anything. Look at this. From the perspective of the camera, we have young Sawyer, clean-shaven Dawson EJ here. Those white headsets. Oh my gosh.
All clean shaven, all three of us. And now look at us, as NASA spaceflight official put in chat, back when people used to shave.
And look at the framing of the camera, y'all. Like, we were so happy that we got to sit under the tail of Enterprise and play our Kerbal video game. We framed the camera. It's like the hosts are down here, and then this is the shuttle.
Not so much rule of thirds even there, yeah.
It's half shuttle in our camera shot. Got
And what people didn't see was in front of where that camera was, we had a big monitor
Yep.
that showing what we were doing with Kerbal, and I
Yep.
believe we were using EJ's space shuttle in Kerbal to show how the real space shuttle worked with what was going on in Kerbal too.
Yep. We
Didn't you build your own?
You did, right, EJ?
Oh yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean, at that
on that
time, yeah,
internet
it probably wasn't exactly like not as good as the ones that we make now in KSP, but it was pretty. Yeah, that was my design. I think.
I'm pretty sure it was.
Been a while.
Yeah. I mean, look at this. Like, here we go. Here's live footage of us.
Oh no.
Sitting there talking about Kerbal, staring at this big screen, and then kids would like come up behind us and watch us, and we're yeah, look, here we go.
There it is.
There's like a kid in the background. The people would stand behind us and watch this big TV that we were playing Kerbal on, building I guess we were like talking about how to build a space shuttle or whatever. We were like illustrating the lift versus the mass and stuff, right, EJ?
Yeah. What am I doing there?
Looks
What
like
am I-
docking port.
You look like
Yeah.
you're reading a book.
Yeah.
Oh, that was when you got the
Yeah.
the
The Haynes manual. Was it the
Yeah.
Haynes or the
Yes.
Chilton manual for the space shuttle? And I brought this stack of these books, and EJ was like thumbing through the repair manual for the space shuttle or something like that, weren't you?
Yeah.
which I believe there's also a signature inside of it too.
Wouldn't happen to be this one right here.
Look at
I
this.
think it might.
No kidding.
Still
And-
got it on my desk, man.
Yep, the autograph from astronaut Mike Massimino.
Is that Mike's signature,
Yep.
EJ?
That's my.
So we
Yeah,
got
this was
the
during their 25th 25 years of Hubble event.
Are we
Yeah,
trying
I
to
remember
land
that.
this without landing? That didn't work out too well.
I don't know what we were doing.
Cruise fine.
The front landing gear is okay.
Needless to say, that's look at us
We're
high
like
fiving.
high-fiving.
Why are we high fiving that?
What is that landing? Good Lord. We're showing what not to do, Chris. Jeez.
Yeah, thankfully Enterprise never did that.
Look at this. Look. Oh, here we're showing like the different forces as we're gliding in. And EJ's like explaining this, and people are standing behind us watching. But this is 8 years ago, y'all.
How was it that long ago? Yeah, that was I believe it was May of 2015, May 24th to the 26th.
No kidding. Anyways, so folks, y'all watching this entire video, by the way, is on YouTube, on my channel. If you can, I'm not going to link it, but if you find it and you want to go and watch this entire video, Sawyer, you found it on YouTube, right?
Yeah, I have the link. I can
No, what do you
put
mean
it
you
in
have the
chat
link?
for you.
I think I might have been flying this one, EJ. You're looking like very concerned down in the corner.
I'm just the ones we can make now are better than this. Like way
Just
better.
a little, huh?
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
Look at the nose.
It's like we have to keep up speed and go into a nosedive.
But I don't think 40. I don't think the
course,
shuttle ever went
that's how it
45.
happened,
Yeah,
right?
I don't think it went 45 degrees down like that. Oh, that's too early on the gear. That's good.
Hey, whatever works, right?
Yeah, it's Kerbal, so it's okay.
There's the RCS is still on too, by the way. Like,
Yeah,
gosh.
I know.
need that
Oh.
extra. EJ's just like,
It's bad.
I just dropped the link.
It's bad because I know Crispy is looking at this and going, "What are you doing?" And I'm sorry, man.
And then you just look at Dawson just staring at the screen.
I don't even know if this lands. I can't even remember or not.
I think it.
This isn't looking the worst. I mean, you'd help
It's
if
a
you
little
pointed
bit
it at the
long.
runway.
Made it
you
to
know?
the runway. I'm just pretending that we're at the salt flats, right? We'll do a nosedive in the sand on the end of
I
it.
remember this was KSP1 when they had the insta braking, I think. So we'll be okay.
Watch,
Oh,
we're gonna
this looks all right.
flare.
The hash
know.
marks, we don't need those.
Look,
on the
it looks
runway.
just
Those
like
are-
the shuttle.
Look at that.
Look
Even
at that.
even before the derotate.
It might stay on the runway even. There you go.
Oh, hey,
And derotate, yeah.
Okay. All right.
I guess
that's
we
not
didn't
bad.
have drogues on it, but yeah.
That's not bad.
We used the shielded docking port on the front because the nose of it was the right sort of shape back in the day.
Yep.
Oh
Look
my
how excited we
gosh.
are.
Are those are the Rapier engines as the Ohms pods, it looks like.
Yeah.
Is that for real?
Yeah. In the shuttle design that I was working with at the time, I didn't really have how the shuttle re-enters down correctly, so I
Yeah.
put jet hybrid in the Ohms pods.
Nice.
Because I don't want to miss the runway on stream and crash it.
Yeah, I don't know which was funnier now, watching the landing or watching us reacting to the landing.
Yeah. Different times, man.
Hey, anyone you
Sometimes.
walk away from.
Yeah.
Yep. I think that's the perfect way to end this.
All right. So anyway, we've gone like way over, but we're just sort of like most people. The reason NASA spaceflight streams is because of some of this stuff that we learned long before we did anything with NASA spaceflight. Like this was a full-size computer in a Pelican case carried with the checked baggage on the airplane to the museum in New York City. The graphics card actually broke loose, and then we couldn't get the computer to boot. We were like trying to put this full-size computer back together.
We were there for hours the night before.
Oh, it was terrible. And we're doing this in 2015 as like one of the precursors to all of the stream tech that we have nowadays. Like all the stuff we figured out with the virtual field trips, the backpacks that we use, the NSF stream backpacks are built on that tech. Like when we do streams like this, it's all built on the tech. None of us have broadcast backgrounds at all.
No. No.
At that time, none of us did.
Oh, yeah,
I do
sorry.
now. but
Anyways,
yeah.
anyways, at the time, none of us, I certainly didn't know anything about broadcast, but we fired up OBS and we're playing games on Twitch and we figured out how to do that stuff, and look at what it's become these days. So.
It's been a long ride, man.
It really has.
Hopefully you got more.
We're not done. No, we're not done.
Sweet.
Oh, no. That's why it was really great to get this group back together again. And yeah, it's one of those things where it's like the conversations we had during that live stream is kind of like what we're doing today. You're basically kind of eavesdropping in on just us chatting.
Yeah.
Yep.
It really is.
Like, yeah, no joke. This is what we were talking about before we hit the live, but we were talking about Starliner and stuff.
Yep. Y'all know what to do. I mean, the folks that are watching now, we had 2,200 people watching, whatever it was. So I guess we had 2,500 people watching at one point. But y'all show up because y'all are the fans that keep supporting what we do. Whether you're over here on YouTube supporting NSF, whether you're a longtime viewer at EJ over on Twitch, or you now watch EJ on Twitch because Das never streams on Twitch anymore, and he abandoned us, and so EJ takes good care of you now, right?
Too real, man.
Too real, though.
Jeez.
You can't just, it's the quiet part out loud.
Jeez.
Anyways,
Whoa.
thank y'all so much for being part. I was supposed to do like a merch plug and stuff like that. I didn't have any time to do a merch plug. You know something? You want merch to support something, like here's merch. Full Stack plushies are still coming out. The patches are still going. I wanted everybody to be able to get this metal print of the Falcon Heavy with the lightning bolt next to it. But the shop team thinks that this metal print isn't high enough quality for you. So I'm the only one who has this metal print. If you want it, say something in chat. I'm sure we can get it. It's very it's very aesthetic feeling, like
I'm
the
saying
lightning
something.
bolt. But that's the sort of thing. I guess I could put the larger camera up so y'all could see it better. But anyways, y'all know how to support us. Y'all been doing it this entire time. We won't belabor the point. Let's get the heck out of here, shall we?
Yeah.
Yep.
I said something in chat.
Oh.
I want that.
You do? You said something in chat over there. Nice.
You
Yeah.
literally said
Something
in chat.
I mean, that's what you said to do, man.
That one wasn't mine. Hey,
Yeah.
that was not me. Doesn't count towards my quota.
One of a kind, put it up for auction or something like that. Like the problem is that print specifically it's grainy because it's like a lower sort of, I don't even know that you're going to be able to see it. It's like an aesthetic sort of thing. It's like it's got fingerprints on it. But see how the lightning bolt is sort of like grainy, right? I don't know. You can sort of see the grain in it. And so they were like, oh, it's too low resolution. It won't work as a metal print. And I said, ship me one and I'll decide. Hey, free metal print. My plan is working. But maybe we'll get that on the store in the future. We're doing the metal print cleanup, like getting rid of old prints that don't sell as much anymore. June 11th, we're like deleting a bunch from the shop. You go to shop.nasaspaceflight.com. You'll see where those are. But across the board, thanks for supporting us. End of show. Bye.
Thank you, everybody.
So now it's metal print with fingerprints, thanks to you now.
Thank you. It's metal print finger. It's like a Wheel of Fortune puzzle, right? Like the
Yeah.
before and after. Like
Yeah.
metal print fingers. That doesn't make any sense.
No, metal and fingerprint.
Metal
That's
and
same
fingerprint.
same last name or same last word.
Nice, same last name. I like.
I would like to buy a vowel.
Go for I guess fingerprint. That's only 2 eyes. Whatever.
And it costs the same for however many there are. At least it's only $250.
Do we really know that? Okay.
Something like that.
I watch way too much game shows. I'm sorry.
Okay.
We're like 30 minutes over schedule now. Folks, it is Sawyer Rosenstein with NSF. Thank you so much, Sawyer, for letting us keep you 30 minutes past the time we're supposed to end this show because we're just hanging out.
Honestly, I'm just so glad to be back on the air. Glad to be back with you guys. And glad that you allowed me a little bit more punnage than usual. We'll call it because of the circumstances, but
One for 30
again,
minutes.
appreciate it. Appreciate everyone out there for not giving up on me. I'm still here.
Chris says that the show has turned into a standard DOS phone call. No, you hang up. No, you
You hang up. Chat, you hang up first.
Sawyer, it's good to have you back. Folks, Sawyer's been doing some other cool stuff for us as well. If you saw some of the shorts that came out, Sawyer put together a couple little short time-lapse clips of Falcon 9, CRS-28 going vertical over there. So if you see shorts on the channel, please don't scream. We're trying to be very picky about the shorts we put out, but Sawyer's been helping with that. And then EJ over here as well. EJ from Twitch. Twitch.
How you doing? Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Oh, man. EJ's a longtime friend over here. Sawyer's a longtime friend. Just getting the band back together over here. EJ, thank you so much for taking time out of your weekend. And say hi to your chat, too. I guess I could just say hi to EJ's chat.
Well, hey, the pleasure's all on this side of the table.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hi, EJ's
Hi,
chat.
Hi, EJ's chat. Yeah. There we go. I was trying to read EJ's chat to see if there were questions over there, too, like getting stuff back and forth. But anyways.
Spoiler, EJ, I am still a lurker. So
Nice.
Oh, well, that's good.
Nice.
yeah.
My name's Das, John, whatever y'all want to call me. It's the end of the show. Thank y'all so much for supporting what we do. Wherever it is, we do appreciate you. We're going to go ahead and get on out of here. I heard that Patrick shortchanged you on the outro song this morning during the Starlink launch.
Uh-huh.
Oof.
So I hope everyone watched their Dawn dish soap commercials instead.
The
Then.
Dawn dish soap commercial. No way.
For those who know, you know.
Hey, there's EJ's. Hey, if you watch Twitch, there's EJ's link in chat over there.
Man.
If you watch Twitch,
thank you.
it's loud, dude.
I'm like, oh, that's the link to my stream. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
Just a few times.
all right.
Geeson was asking if we could put EJ in one of the aero platforms. You game, EJ? You want to ride one of the 100-meter aero work platforms?
Yeah, sure. Why not?
Can I strap a camera on you and a
Yeah,
heart rate
let's do it.
sensor?
Yeah, sure. We can do that. We can do that. That's fine.
All right.
I'd do it.
Geeson, we'll see what we can do. Yeah, good call. Some more gifts here as well. Jaden and Fritz, appreciate you too. We're going to go ahead and shut down the show here. Let me roll the outro video. EJ Sawyer, good times. Thanks so much for spending the afternoon with me. And we
Absolutely.
will see you nerds later.
See you guys. Thank you.
Bye.
Oh, by the way, the mic's still going to be hot until I tell you it's not, so don't talk when the music starts.
Okay, so you're saying don't
What?
talk?
No, I said not to talk.
And here we go. We have liftoff.
Propulsion continues to be normal.
RCPA chamber pressure looks good.
Following up. Roger, roger, Atlantic. Water towers fly! Yes!
Tango down to nominal.
Flighting outside FTE off. Say again, FTE off. It's orange! Orange 25! Oh my god! Oh my god! Decollage! What is it? Put that in the big bag, Eagle.
343 unfolds to go.
Indeed.
We rise together back to the moon and beyond.
This methane will be igniting the flare, correct?
Yikes. You dead? Sure. We don't need any more of these.